Radha Mitchell as a retired elite sniper who has withdrawn to the remote Australian countryside with her daughter, played by Annabelle Wolfe. On paper, that setup sounds almost peaceful. A woman with a brutal past has stepped away from the killing and built a quiet life far from the battlefield. But action thrillers are never really about peace. They are about what happens when peace gets treated like unfinished business. And in Seven Snipers, that unfinished business arrives in the form of Tim Roth's dragon, a ruthless warlord who comes looking for revenge. That hook works immediately because it is clean. A former killer, a daughter in danger, a past that refuses to stay buried. But what makes Seven Snipers feel more interesting than a standard revenge setup is the way it frames the combat. This is not just one hero mowing through faceless enemies at close range. The whole identity of the movie seems built around distance, angles, concealment, timing, and the psychological torture of waiting for a threat you may not even be able to see. That alone gives the film an edge. Most modern action movies are obsessed with impact. Seven Snipers looks obsessed with anticipation. That is a smarter choice. A sniper story lives or dies by tension, not volume. The shot matters, yes, but what matters more is the minute before it, when everyone is guessing, calculating, and trying to decide whether the danger is real or already to close. The trailer seems to understand that beautifully, and then there is the team element. One of the most appealing things here is that Mitchell's character does not stand alone. Instead of turning the movie into a pure one-woman last stand, Seven Snipers has her call in her old unit. That immediately expands the drama. It means the story is not just about survival. It is also about history, loyalty, and whatever emotional baggage comes from reconnecting with people who knew you when violence was your full-time language. A setup like that can give the movie a lot more weight than a simple siege thriller. It also helps that the cast looks stronger than what people might expect from a compact digital action release. Radha Mitchell has always been good at carrying intensity without overselling it, and that matters in a film like this. You need someone who can play capability, trauma, and calculation all at once. Annabelle Wolfe gives the daughter role more than just hostage energy in the footage we have seen, which is important because if she is only there to be rescued, the emotional stakes flatten out fast. Tim Roth, meanwhile, is one of those actors who can make menace feel casual, which is often much scarier than shouting. Casting him as Dragon is the kind of move that instantly gives the villain credibility. The trailer also sells the movie's tactical identity in a way I really like. This does not feel like action built around endless movement. It feels like action built around space. Open fields, long sightlines, hidden positions, the fear of exposure. The movie seems to understand that being outdoors does not make a situation safer. In fact, it can make it feel even worse because there is nowhere to hide when every horizon line might already be compromised. That is a great visual concept for a sniper thriller. And if the film uses the Australian landscape well, it could make the environment itself feel like part of the trap. Director Sandra Sabaras seems very aware of what kind of tension this story needs. The comparisons to Sicario, Zero Dark 30, and The Hurt Locker are ambitious, but I understand why they are being made. Those are movies that know how to let dread breathe. They understand that danger does not always burst through the front door. Sometimes it waits quietly in the background until the scene is already poisoned. That is exactly the energy Seven Snipers should be chasing, and the trailer suggests it is at least aiming in the right direction. What I especially like is the emphasis on sniper psychology. That is the part many action movies skip over. Sniping is cinematic because it is violent, but it is interesting because it is internal. It is about restraint, focus, cold judgment, and the ability to sit inside unbearable tension without blinking. If Seven Snipers really leans into that, the movie could become much more than just a revenge exercise. It could become a film about how people train for extreme violence carry that mindset even after they try to leave it behind. And honestly, the R rating matters here. A sniper thriller without real consequences can feel hollow fast. The violence in a story like this should feel sharp, sudden, and final. It should leave a mark. If Seven Snipers is serious about putting viewers inside the sniper's perspective, then the brutality cannot feel sanitized. It has to feel immediate enough that every choice carries weight. I also think the film benefits from not trying to hide what kind of movie it is. This is not prestige camouflage. It is selling itself as a brutal survival and revenge thriller, but with enough tactical detail to separate itself from generic streaming action. That is probably the right play. There is an audience for these stripped-down, efficient action movies, especially when they have one strong gimmick and know how to execute it. And the gimmick here is solid. Not just a sniper, but a network of snipers, a shared past, a remote battlefield, and a villain forcing them back into war. The biggest question, of course, is whether the movie can maintain that pressure for the full runtime. Sniper action is exciting, but only if the geography, timing, and escalation stay clear. If the film loses track of who is where, or starts relying on random coincidence instead of tactical logic, the illusion breaks. But based on the trailer and in the creative team's comments, it sounds like Seven Snipers understands the importance of process. That gives me some confidence. What could really make the film work, though, is the emotional core. The best revenge thrillers are never just about payback. They are about cost. If Mitchell's character has truly tried to build a life after a violent past, then being dragged back into that world should hurt in ways bullets alone cannot express. The daughter angle matters because it makes the conflict personal, but the old team angle matters just as much because it turns survival into reckoning. This is not only about beating Dragon, it is about facing the version of yourself that Dragon represents. That is why the title works better the more I sit with it. Seven Snipers sounds cool on the surface, but it also suggests structure, discipline, and a kind of fatal geometry. It promises a movie where every player matters, every position matters, and every second of hesitation can become a death sentence. If the film delivers on that promise, this could be one of those low-key action releases that sneaks up on people and ends up getting recommended far more than the marketing would suggest. Seven Snipers hits digital platforms on June 5, 2026, and based on this trailer, it looks like the kind of action thriller that knows silence can be deadlier than chaos. If it lands the tension, the tactics, and the emotional fallout, this could be a very sharp surprise. Until then, stay alert, because the most dangerous shot is usually the one you never hear.